Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. I am thrilled to be joined by Mark Myers, the founder and CEO of Peak Profit Solutions, a financial services company that for 15 plus years has helped thousands of business owners permanently reduce their tax bill on average by 50% without replacing their CPAs or financial investment advisors. And I mean, frankly, that's what all small business owners and entrepreneurs want and need. Mark Myers, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Shalom. Great to be here.
Absolutely. An honor to have you. I know you served in the Marines for 8+ years, so thank you for your service. So I always love to get to know the person behind the microphone. How did you go from time in the Marines to becoming passionate about helping small business owners save money?
Thanks for your service as well, Shalom. I really appreciate it. It's been a journey, and I think that it's always one that creates value along the way. But I feel like the resourcefulness that the Marine Corps provided me and the leadership and, of course, the discipline really helped me to do the things that I am passionate about at the highest levels. And, about 15 years ago, I really realized that there was this need in the world of tax efficiency that wasn't being filled. So it's been a fun process over the last 10 years when I really started focusing on this, but just seeking out the 75,000 pages of tax code and finding the coupons that are there. There's many, many, many coupons. And of course, integrating those coupons into my planning with clients. And most of my planning is with CPAs and with financial advisors. That's where I get most of my clients from. So it's been fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you share a statistic frequently with anybody who's willing to listen that over 90% of America's successful small and medium-sized businesses significantly overpay in taxes, even if they're working with a highly experienced CPA or accounting firm. So that's a staggering statistic and something that every one of our listeners should be paying close attention to. And Mark, what I find interesting is, again, you, of course, are helping folks. You're a business owner yourself. You can put yourself in those shoes and understand that every penny counts. So let's get into the weeds a little bit over here. What are some of the things that are just sort of sliding through the cracks and eating up that critical cash flow?
Great question, Shalom. And I think it's, to speak to why 90% overlook this, it's really a mechanism of treating this as a profit center. Most people treat taxes like it's just a bill that I have to pay. Think of it as you walking into a store and paying retail for everything on the shelf and not realizing that there's actually discounts available, but you don't care because that's what everybody's told you. You just go into the store and you pay retail. So really, I'm talking about the wholesale opportunity. And think about, like, for a business owner, a small business owner, one of the first things that they should think about doing is, where are they hosting meetings and events for their business? Most business owners, particularly small business owners, they don't take enough time working on their business. They're always working in their business. But if they were to start working on their business, for example, say 1 hour or 2 per month, they could actually have a meeting and they could charge their business for the space that they're utilizing to conduct that meeting. And that can be their actual home. And the business can pay themselves for that meeting at a fair market rental rate. And that is not taxable income for the business owner. So that is the first little small chip shot, I call it, because it was originated from the masters in Augusta, Georgia, that all small business owners should use, which would probably give them anywhere from $15,000 to $40,000 per year of tax-free income.
That's a great shortcut, and something you're right that so many people overlook. And one of the things that you frequently speak about, and I know that you have done a lot of podcasts, a lot of conversations about, again, helping folks save money on taxes, is you talk about KPIs, key performance indicators, and you talk about how it can actually help you grow a business. Again, what are some of the things that our listeners, small business owners like yourself, Mark, that they should be looking for?
Well, the first and the biggest KPI specific to the conversations I always have, Shalom, are, not forgetting your biggest expense. Most small business owners and medium-sized business owners, their biggest expense is not their COGS. A lot of times it's their tax bill. If you're in the great state of California or other states that have significantly high state tax on top of the federal, It could be that for every dollar of profit that you work so hard to generate, you're paying over 50 cents in tax. That is your biggest expense. So when it comes to KPI, don't overlook that expense, because it can be a profit center for you if you focus on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm chatting with Mark Myers, who is the founder and CEO of Peak Profits Solutions, that for 15 plus years, his financial services company has helped thousands of business owners permanently reduce their tax bill on average by 50%. Yes, you heard that right, 50% without replacing their CPAs or financial investment advisors. And we're going to talk a little bit about that piece after a quick break here and get down to business. But Mark, really, really interesting hearing your story and your transition personally. Real quick, 30 seconds or less. I mean, what's some of the lessons that you learned while serving in the Marine Corps that have served you well in business?
I think it's resourcefulness is number one. When you have something, an objective, you have to be resourceful to overcome that challenge. And that means that you have to be creative. So that's probably one of the biggest things I learned. And also just discipline, making sure that you commit to something and to persevere.
Well, you're using each of those two tools every single day, and it served you well. So again, thank you for sharing. Thank you for your service. And we're going to talk a little bit about more of how folks can do all of that savings that we've been talking about, saving money, becoming more profitable without changing their CPA or financial advisor. And I'm really curious to learn more about that. You're listening to Get Down to Business. We'll be right back on the show, all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Hey, welcome back to Getting Out the Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. I'm continuing my conversation with Mark Myers, who is the founder and CEO of Peak Profit Solutions, a financial services company that for 15 plus years has helped thousands of business owners permanently reduce their tax bill. So, Mark, the statistic that we talked about earlier in the program is that over 90% of America's successful, and I'll underline that word, successful small and medium-sized businesses significantly overpay on taxes, even if they're working with a highly experienced CPA or accounting firm. Wow, that's staggering, because they could make more money. And frankly, which business owner doesn't want to do that? Can you share any success stories, maybe not by name, but just, some examples that might be relatable to our listeners?
Yes, absolutely. I have a lot of clients that come to me and they just are in pain, when they write that check. And of course, they're working with an experienced CPA and probably one or two nice, really good advisors that to help shepherd their funds. And they don't realize that there's a wholesale tax rate for them. So when I speak to them, they're very excited because there's generally 2 or 3 coupons that anyone can use. Particularly for business owners. I talked about this in the last episode, or the last segment. One is the Augusta rule, which you can rent your home to yourself. But the others, let's just say a client that I work with that could use 3 coupons, and we integrated them quite well together. This is a person that runs a medical service business, and between dwelling unit rental, or the Augusta rule, renting their home to their business for meetings throughout the year, that's tax-free income, and acquiring an asset that is going to be used for a donation to a charitable organization, that's coupon number 2, and acquiring solar panels on the roofs of third-party businesses like churches and synagogues and private schools and museums and YMCAs. Those 3 coupons combined reduced the tax bill by 65%. So that was a very exciting, process to go through with them. We really only needed 3 coupons to reduce their taxes by 65%. Of course, they could have used more coupons, but those were the 3 that they chose. So a lot of times when I'm working with someone, I share with them, these are all the different efficiencies you can use. How many do you want to use? And we go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, that's awesome. And thank you for helping so many business owners. We've got about a minute remaining, and I want to leave folks with just that little last tidbit, which we've been sort of alluding to throughout our conversation, but folks don't need to change over to another firm. You're saying that there's actually a way that they can stay in their current relationship and maximize their savings. Just tell us briefly about that.
Absolutely. So as you're more and more successful, obviously you need more and more resources. A lot of times I find small to medium-sized business owners, or just even if you're high income W-2, they have their pitcher and their catcher, proverbially, if you're thinking baseball, right? What about their first baseman? What about when they need a shortstop? What about when they need a right fielder? Well, as they progress in the game, they're going to need those additional players. And that's when I come in. So I do not replace their pitcher or their catcher, right? Their CPA or their wealth advisor. I actually supplement them. And I actually find the shortstop and the first baseman that they need. And maybe in the near future, I'm like, you're going to need a right fielder pretty soon. So we'll bring them in the near future. But that's really the key. I'm basically looking at a fact pattern, looking at what they have in place, and sharing with them the additional resources they could bring in, the additional efficiencies, because there's two tax systems in America, one for the informed, one for the uninformed. Both are legal. If you're using the informed section of the code, you're going to pay wholesale prices. If you're using the uninformed section of the code, you're going to pay retail prices.
Yep.
So that's where I integrate myself into the team, and it becomes
well.
A fun
I like
process.
the analogy, and we want to make sure that you can be integrated. Mark, real quick, how can we get in touch with you?
Just go to my website, peakprofitsolutions.com. And you can basically literally book an appointment with me for a 15-minute consultation. I can tell you within 15 to 20 minutes how much opportunity there is and how many different coupons you're likely available to use.
Awesome. Well, we'll link in the show notes, but thank you so much for teaching our listeners. That's a wrap for us here on the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We'll be back next Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on AM 560, The Answer to Success. Let's get down to business.